Hello again, this is Mette from Denmark, author of Dead Men. I'm so excited to see you here. Well, I made my first video the other day when I published the book, when it was released. And I hope that some of you are already engaged in reading it and you find it entertaining and makes you think and gives you great entertainment. Well, I mentioned in the other video that my father delivered a great deal of the material for the book, and I would like to tell you what made me actually write the book. See, as I said, I dreamed of being a writer my whole life, and I started studying 10 years ago. I started studying posts and book about how to become a writer. What do I have to do to be a writer? And there was one thing I read that really struck me. One person wrote, you have to write about something that you really know. To make it easy on yourself, write about something you really know. That sort of put itself on a shelf inside me for later use. And then I discovered on the same year, or maybe around the same time, I discovered a American online network for adult children of narcissists. I discovered that my father was a narcissist in 2005. I'd always known that there was something wrong with him, something that I couldn't really put my finger on. But you know, there were some things that I could say that he's always doing things to give himself gain. He doesn't matter if it's at the expense of others. He always thinks that he's right, even when he does something bad. When he beats up his wife, he'll say that it was because she was hysterical. And he will believe that he's actually a good person, even though you can confront him with these things. He will still be able to, what's it called, deflect. Deflect, you know that term? Deflect is when you you have resistance against something and you put it outside yourself. You say, that's got nothing to do with me. And that's exactly what he did. And he did that with everything. You could never get him to admit anything to anything. So in 2005, I actually stumbled upon a list of symptoms, of course, on an American website. We didn't have website like that in Denmark back then. On an American website, I stumbled upon a list of symptoms for narcissists. And when I read those 9 criteria for diagnosing a narcissist, I started crying. And I cried for like 20 minutes. It was like all the missing pieces inside me, they suddenly fell into place like that. And I could see, oh my God, he is a narcissist. This is what is wrong with him. And of course that led to the next thought. Okay, so if he's really sick, then there's really nothing wrong with me. I'm not insane. And what I'm seeing, the violations he's doing and all the signals I'm getting that there's something wrong with him and what he does is not right, it's not me who's crazy, even though he's been telling me that when I've asked him, why do you hit your girlfriends or your wives? Do you really think it's necessary? Is it necessary to be so abusive when you drink? He would always say that it was something that I wouldn't understand because I was too stupid. As you know, I was a retard. So everything fell into place, and I got the feeling that I might not be crazy after all. And I found this online debate forum, Charlotte's Web, which was back then, I don't know if it exists anymore, but back then it was an amazing community for grown-ups who were children of narcissists. And I got such great help there. It was such a relief to meet people who understood what I was going through and who had shared similar childhoods and similar thoughts and similar feelings of being insane and being blamed for being insane and seeing ghosts and making stuff up and all the things we go through when we are ACONs, adult children of narcissists. Well, on this online community, there was other therapists. I was in the process of educating myself as a therapist at the time, and there were other therapists who had been working with this issue for a longer time. One of them, she said, write as an exercise to sort of clear yourself of guilt and forgive yourself for the anger towards your narcissistic parent. You could write a story on how you kill your narcissistic parent like there was no consequence. If there was no consequence of killing your narcissistic parent, how would you do it? Describe it like you would describe a scene in a movie. And we were, of course, several grown-up children of narcissists who did this, and I was one of them. And I described the scene where I would kill my father, and it was pretty violent. Let me just say it like that. I'll be honest with you, it was really, really violent. I had a lot of resentment and a lot of hatred, and I was not even near forgiving either him or me for everything that had happened. Again, those are other stories, and you might get them one day if you say pretty please. Well, anyway, I had this story in my cupboard, lying in my desk, and then one day I was married back then, and then I got divorced, and I looked at the story, and I found out that it was a year before my divorce. I looked at the story, and I actually found out that it was a great story. Maybe it was a little too violent. But I changed it a bit, and then I started writing some more, and suddenly I had half a book, and I stopped, and I couldn't write anymore. Then I got the divorce, and my father, he committed suicide the week after I told my husband I wanted a divorce. And again, that's another story. You might get it one day. It's rather gruesome. Well, anyway, when I had gotten the divorce and I had moved to another part of the country and settled down and sort of found myself, I found the book again. And I was totally blocked because of everything that had happened. I felt I couldn't write. So I went online and I looked for a writing coach to help me remove my writer's block. And I found Graham Schofield, who was an amazing guy. And he teased me, and he mocked me, and he supported me, and he encouraged me, and he lured me, and he used all kinds of techniques to get me to write. And I actually finished the book in like 6 months, maybe a small year. I finished the book. So the first murder in the book, I don't want to tell you what it's like, but the first murder in the book, when I sent the first draft of the book out to a friend of mine who's a journalist, she sent it back and she said, "It's too obvious that this murder is the murder of your father." Oh, and I was like, oh my God, that's not good. That's not good at all. So I changed it. And in a later version, I changed it back. Because I was like, no, this is actually the story. This is what inspired me. This is actually what started this. So I have to be somewhat true to actually what happened. So the first guy who dies in the book, he's not an actor, but he's a reality show contestant. And he has actually a lot of similarities with my father. So I kept it in the book, even though it's a little morbid to write a book where you kill your own father. But then again, I read someplace that everything an author writes is part of herself. And that goes for me too. So now you might ask, so do you have a serial killer inside you? Should I be scared? And I think we all can kill for what we believe in, or kill if we feel pressured, enough pressure. I think we can all do that. And I think that writing The Serial Killer Marie, Who Kills Abusive Men, was also a kind of therapy for me. Of course, I've worked with this, my abusive, narcissistic father, in therapy for 20 years to get through it. And I've written books about getting through a dysfunctional childhood with abuse, neglect, and lies. One of my books is called Your Hero's Journey, getting rid of the negative consequences of your childhood. It's also available on Amazon, by the way. And this book is about getting rid of the consequences of having an upbringing where you are suppressed, where you are told directly or indirectly that there's no room for you here, there's no room for your feelings here. You have to adapt and be who we want you to be. Well, so the serial killer in the book is actually, I'm not her, but she's part of me. Some of her traits are based on who I am. And also Lotte, her friend, her very ordinary friend, because I think we also all have every trait inside us. We have all these different characteristics. We are all good and bad. We are all angry and happy and sad and loving, and we all we all have this abusive side of us, but we can choose to use it or we can choose to not use it. And of course it has a lot to do with our upbringing, but it also has to do with what we are taught when we're grown-ups. Because when we're grown-ups, we can look at ourselves and say, I don't like what I'm seeing. I want to change. I want to find the tools to do something different. And this is actually also why I've even accomplished to write this book, is because I looked at myself and said, there's something I want to do and I don't know. I can't do it the way I am now. I have to change to become the real me so I can do what I want to do, so I can follow my dreams and live them. And this is what I've done. So today, my hatred and my anger and my pain about my father is gone. Of course, I can still feel the old pain if I have to tell painful stories from back then. But I'm through it. And people often ask me, so have you forgiven him? And this is actually a very interesting question. You cannot forgive someone if you haven't forgiven yourself. This is very important. If you are working towards forgiving your parents, don't. Look at yourself instead. Look at yourself and your own anger and your own resentment and your own pain and forgive that. And if you can't forgive yourself for that, then forgive yourself for not being able to forgive yourself. Can you do that? That's the very first step in forgiving. Forgive yourself and then forgive the others. And when you have forgiven yourself, forgiving other people will be so much easier. So I've forgiven him. And not only that, I'm really, really grateful that he was actually being such a prick when I was a child, because that led me to where I am today. And I am so grateful for my life. I love it. I love who I am, and I love being me, and I love the life that I have built for myself. And he is, of course, part of that. So that's a story of Dead Men and how I succeeded in being able to find the part of me inside that made me write the story. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye.